Hey guys, this is Nick with Carpenter Garage, and I hope you guys enjoyed the car show, but I wanted to do a quick review of the Eibach springs. They are actually settled in. My thought process on it, absolutely love the look of the car. As you can tell, it has a nice, it still has a little bit of rake to it, but it's more, it just sits right on top of the tires. So definitely from an aesthetics look point, it definitely added to the badness of the car. I mean, it looks absolutely good. Let me show you what the front looks like. I mean, it can ask for a better look than this. Look at that. And it is pretty low off the ground. So from a aesthetics look point, it looks exactly what I wanted it to look like. Give you guys a more look like that way. Okay, you can kind of tell it looks really good. So that's from an aesthetic standpoint. All right guys, from a handling standpoint, it handles a lot better than it did before. It was kind of, even with the, you have different modes, even with the comfort mode, it's very comfortable. With the springs, I did switch it from comfortable to I guess eco to sport and track. I actually noticed no difference. I don't think that it really necessarily affect the springs. The springs is basically just, lowering the car. I think that's more of the shocks. So I didn't really, it's definitely a lot stiffer, guys. I'm not gonna sit there and tell you that the ride's the same. It's definitely stiffer. I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad. What I do know is the tires tend to trim line a little bit more, so it tends to follow the road a lot more. I don't know why. I do feel like I have better traction. I'm not sure if it's faster or not. Haven't really got on it that much to tell, but I can definitely tell it handles a lot better. I do think that the traction part helps. The fact that it's lower to the ground helps, especially if you take it to the track. So definitely, I say A+ on the looks, A+ on the handling, and here's some drawbacks that I have seen so far. All right, guys, the first one drawback I say getting Eibach springs, to be honest with you, it is not really the springs per se. It just makes sure it's the first time I actually pay somebody to work on my car and do something that I couldn't do, my dad couldn't do ourselves, which we could, but we were trying to save some time. And the workmanship, I'm not going to mention, I mentioned in my last video, when I put the springs on, who did it. I thought they were really good, but as you know, turned out that I needed some assistance. They didn't put the bushings on that came with the Eibach springs, adjustment bushings. They didn't put that on, even though it was in the invoice, and I asked them to. When I called them back to ask why they didn't put it on, they simply told me they're going to look into it and get back with me. That was Sunday, and that was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I haven't heard a single thing from them. So I won't be using them again. I think it goes with poor customer service. So, and then on top of that, I found out when I'm driving the car, I think part of what they took apart is making noises. It didn't make that before. They didn't put the bolts back exactly the way that they want. We're supposed to put it back. Again, it's not Eibach springs, but just be careful if you do hire somebody to do it. Just make sure that you get a good quality people who will do it right the first time. So one of the next projects that I'm going to do is I have to take all the stuff apart or retorque them to make sure they're torqued correctly. The struts are not where they're supposed to be. So that's another thing. So again, that's not Eibach springs fault. That just comes with territory. The biggest thing for me when it comes to the springs is that it lowered a lot more than what I thought it was going to be. So I have a driveway that's pretty steep and I cannot get out of it. Thank goodness only Corvettes I had made two pretty much ramps, the wooden ramps to get on there. So I'll use that to get in and out of the driveway, but I have scraped underneath the car the plastic piece on the rocker panels down here. I scraped that. I scraped the tip of the exhaust, I should say that the exhaust muffler, and I have scraped the exhaust manifold trying to get in and out of the driveway. So again, it's just not my everyday car, so getting the ramps out, it's not a big deal, as I don't drive it every day, but something to consider that you will be hitting stuff, especially on steep curves. Is it worth it to you? Is the $1 million question. To me, like I said, it's not my everyday car, and I'm used to low cars, so it wasn't as a big deal. I think the looks far surpass it. And that brings me up to the last, I think, inconvenience of it. I don't know about the wear and tear. Again, I just did it about 3 weeks ago, so people said that, you know, CV boots and wear and tear in the suspension. Again, I don't put a lot of miles on this car, so I don't, it won't affect me in the near term, maybe long term. I still got the stock springs, etc. But anyway, I'm not really worried about that. I think so far what I ran into is the alignment. I thought I can just go to MTB and get alignment after everything's done. That's why I bought the extra stuff to adjust the suspension. Turns out the car is too low to get on the ramps at MTB. So that's how far we are off of the ground. It's pretty low. So that's something to consider too, guys, is that you have to take it to a shop that can work with lower cars. NTB can't. That's your wheel gap. And so, you know, getting more money, more inconvenience. That's kind of what my thought process on it is. So just gonna give you guys a quick review of what's going on in the Lawrence Springs. So all right guys, I'm gonna go on the curves I'm usually familiar with, just kind of show you a little bit of the handling aspect of the Eibach Springs, and to give you my impression doing it as well. So I'm kind of used to this. Hopefully we can get a good impression. I'm not gonna push it too hard, guys, because I still gotta retorque a lot of these things that the shop didn't do correctly. So I just want to kind of show you guys a little bit about the handling part, and it's the first time testing out, so you guys are getting my raw feelings about the handling the first time. So I haven't really tested out per se, so I'll let you guys know, and then we'll get on and see what the difference is. All right guys, here we go. Very little wheel spin, I know that for sure. That's about half throttle, not half throttle, but I gave it some input. It didn't really spin the tires compared to what it did before. So I do notice that's a difference. That doesn't really smoke the tires like it did before. So I'm not sure if that's just lowering in the fact that, you know, there's not a lot of play in the back versus where it was before. So some people like that, some people not. I know it feels like, actually feel like you're getting more of the power down. So from that point, it's definitely a difference. So I do like that aspect of it. Let's hopefully we can get some curves here going. Definitely stiff. Definitely rides lower to the ground. Instead of floating. We can get away from this car a little bit to kind of let you guys know. Probably can't dive into this one too much because again, there's cars here. Yeah, definitely handles a lot tighter to the corners. Let's go over these railroad tracks. You can feel a little bit. Definitely dive into that corner, out of the corner. Playing it. Corvette like, but it's a lot better than what it was. So it kind of dives into the corner. First, I'm gonna take these railroad tracks a little bit slower. Yeah, you can feel it more going over stuff like that, but a little acceleration. To the corner. So let's try to step out there. Coast is clear both ways. Here, second. Yep. Alright guys, now I'm back to just cruising and just feels normal. Like I said, I got it in auto mode, transmission eco, my paddle shift is off, traction I got it in street, suspension I actually have it in street too, so I keep even the suspension and street. Let me see if I can, like I said, I got it in auto. Let me see if, so yeah, it keeps it in the street version. I haven't tried the, let me see if I put it in sport here. Yeah, it's stiffened up, I feel it, it stiffens up a little bit. Yeah, I can see it, it makes it, so it went from street, which is comfort level, to sport. And it tightens up a little bit. I haven't done track. Let me see here. Now it's in track mode. It's a little bit more bouncy. Yeah, not bad, but a little bit more bouncy. Yeah, I see. Then I put it back into auto. Take the bounce, which is street. So I take the bounce away. So yeah. Overall, guys, I like the springs. If there are things I would have done differently, I would have done it myself. Then therefore, I would have known that it would have been put on correctly. And I've taken the sticker off of the people who did it. That's how disappointed I am. But other than that, Eibach springs, I like it. I would recommend it to you guys. Most definitely, just know that you're gonna have to change the the bushings to adjust it. Eibach said I think it was $95 or so to adjust the bushings there. So you're gonna have to do that part. I didn't do the control arms. I think it was $400 or so. Like I said, I ran into some issues trying to get it aligned. NTP said it was too low to get up on their lift, so I'm gonna find somebody else. And then once I get aligned, guys, I'm gonna see if I need to get the control arms to where they can get it to spec. The rear should be able to put back to spec based on getting the adjustable bushings. But overall, I'm happy. Like the way it looks. I think for me, the pros is way more than the cons, but there are cons, so I'm not gonna sit there and lie to you and say there's not. You have to be more aware of where you're going. You know, so it's gonna be harder to get into driveways. And I'll let you know once you get home. I'll let you know what ramp I used that I made, so maybe you guys can come up with something like that, just in case you want to do it too. All right, guys. I'll show you the ramp, and then we'll wrap up this video. All right, guys. I'm back home. Here's the ramps that I made to get up and out of the driveway. They just basically stay right there at a curve. I drive up on it, and I don't have any problems. So that's kind of what I have. All right. All right, guys. This is what it looked like. Ramps.